Hello and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to take you guys on a foundational Revit course. I know I've dropped two or more full courses on this channel, but this video is unlike those full courses because those full courses, I think from what I perceived, I think that you need to have some level of little experience in Autodesk Revit before you can follow it very well. So this video is just like a very basic video for new users in Revit. So I'm going to be going slowly and I'll be taking it step by step to explain the basics of Revit. So this video is basically targeted towards people that haven't used Revit before, that just heard of it or are interested in it, or new to any discipline like architecture, engineering, and are interested in using Revit. So the first question is, what is Autodesk Revit? Revit is a building information modeling software. It can be used by architects, engineers, planners, etc. Of course, the next question is, what is building information modeling? So I want to use the definition of Autodesk. So according to Autodesk, building information modeling is the holistic process of creating and managing information for a built asset based on an intelligent model and enabled by a cloud platform. BIM integrates structured multidisciplinary data to produce a digital representation of an asset across its life cycle, from planning and designing to construction and operations. So BIM software offers all this for a project, so it just makes life easier for an architect or a professional. So in today's video, I just want to take you guys through the basic knowledge you need to start Revit. So if you are done with this course, I believe you should have enough skill to be able to go further into my other courses, so you could follow all those my full Revit courses step by step, because I just want to show you the basics. So I want you to make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell to join the notification squad. Don't forget to like this video and share with your friends, especially the ones that are new to Revit. They will need this video. Trust me, it's very important. And without any further ado, let's go to the content of this video. All right, so this is sort of the welcome page of Revit. Over here, you could see some tabs here. Over here, you could see the recent files. These recent files will show the files I've previously opened. So you could see the old files I've opened here. If I click on any of them, it's going to open and continue from where I stopped. So over this tab over here, you could see the models. You could click on open to open previous models. Once I click on this open, I'll be able to search my file browser to select the model I want to select where I previously saved them. So if I click new, I'm going to create a new file, which I'm going to do shortly. But let me just continue explaining this interface. So you could also see the families where I could click on open to open a previous family. If you don't know what a family is like a component, a supporting component in Revit. For instance, if I'm creating a building, you could call some of the furniture a family. You could call some of the plumbing fixtures a family, like the toilet seats. Those are families in the context of modeling software. So this is where you could click on open to open previously created ones, or click on new to create a new family. But we are not going to be doing that in this video because that is some advanced stuff. So we want to do the absolute basics. So for this video, I'm going to click on new to create a new file. This is Autodesk Revit 2024. So if you are not using that, the interface may be a bit different, but you could still use this tutorial. There are still some similarities. You could just join one or two together and key in. So you just click on this drop down icon. Instead of imperial multidisciplinary, I'm going to select metric multidiscipline, because of in this part of the world where I operate, we use the metric system. If you are in the West, you choose the imperial system, which you're familiar with. But for this video, I'm going to be using the metric system. So I'm just going to click on metric system. I check this project tab, not this project template, and I'm going to click OK. So it's not going to take too much time because I'm creating a totally new file. Alright, so Revit interface is open. I'm sure if you are new to Revit, you'll be overwhelmed with all these tabs here and there. But slow down, we are going to take it step by step and we're going to follow it. Okay, the first thing we are going to take note of is we are going to look at what is in front of us. So as you can see all these lines. These lines are called reference lines. So currently we don't need to do much on these reference lines. So we are going to hide them later. I'm going to show you. So this line here is called a scope box. Is a new feature in Revit 2024. All these things, we don't need to touch much of them. I'm just explaining what they are. So these things that are like points here are actually viewpoints. If I click on one of them like this, I'm going to see a line appear here. So this line is like kind of a camera shot picking an elevation from this point, and if I click on this point too, it's kind of the same thing, like a camera shot picking an elevation from this point. But we don't need to delve into much of this aspect for now. So the first thing we're going to do once we open a new project in Revit is to go and create some levels. Okay, so what are levels? levels. Levels are vertical reference points. What do I mean by vertical reference points? In a building, you have a lot of vertical points like the first floor, the ceiling, the roof, and all those kind of stuff. The lintels, the doors, all those heights are constraints. So we use levels as guides to help us get or know the position or the distance between all of these heights. So to create a level, we are firstly going to go to an elevation view. To go to an elevation view, we are going to go under this project browser. So under this project browser tab, you are going to go to these elevations here. So you are just going to see it as this box. So you are going to click on this plus icon here and all the elevations will come out. Since we are working on an architectural work, we are just going to minimize all these other tabs here, all this coordination, minimize it. Electrical, we are not working on electrical works. Click on minimize on the structural. So we are just going to click on one of these elevations. And default, when you open Revit, a new file comes with two levels. This is L1 and L2, but I'm going to be deleting one of them and I'm going to be showing you how to create new level. So let's say I delete this one and it's going to give me a warning that I'm going to delete all the views associated with this level, and I'm going to click OK. So now I want to create some new levels. To create a new level, I'm going to click on this architecture tab. Under this architecture tab, I'm going to click on levels here. You are going to see it at the top right corner of the screen. Then I'm just going to click on levels. Before I even start placing the levels, I'm going to click on this icon here. That is this properties panel here. This properties panel is like the control of the characteristics of anything you're doing in Revit. So anything you select in Revit, the properties panel is always used to control the characteristics of that thing. So in the case of this level, we want to change the symbol of the level so it will be visible. So I'm just going to click on this icon here. So as you can see, if you look at what I'm seeing here, I'm seeing level no head. This means that the level doesn't have any head indicating it or making it come out very well. So I'm just going to click on this drop down icon and I'm just going to select this 8mm head so it will have a head. What this head is like a tagging symbol, so it will be easy to see. So let's just say we create one. So as you can see some measurements coming on my screen as I'm trying to place this level. This measurement is just showing the distance and it can help you guide on the distance you want to place in between these levels. So let's say I want to place 3 meters and I just place it and I place this. All right, so as you can see L3 has come out. It named it as L3 because this one is L1, so it will just keep naming it in that kind of series. So as you can see, if you look at this project browser now, you can see that L3 has come out. So you have L1 here, you have L3. So now these levels, I don't want them to have this name. I want to change their name. So to do that is very simple. I'm just going to hover around here. I'm just going to click on this L1 and I'm just going to change it to 01 NGL. Which means is a short form for natural ground level, which is good. The same thing, I'm just going to make sure I go to this L3 here. I select it and I'm going to click on 02 and I'm just going to name it roof. Okay, so I'm just going to click yes. So this thing will pop up here. This thing will now ask me, would you like to rename corresponding views? I'm going to click yes, and do you know why? What this thing means is that once I've renamed this level, any vertical plane or any reference, for instance, if I go to ceiling levels, I'm going to see this level I've created. They are going to be floor plans because every floor plan is a horizontal section. So these levels I'm creating is kind of a horizontal section because it's a vertical constraint. So at each level, you could see it in an orthographic view. Let's say this is the roof level. If I click on this roof level, I'm going to see this in an orthographic view. So this roof level is kind of a plan. So like if you go back to this elevation, you are going to see this NGL. So this NGL is actually this L1. So I'm just going to try and rename it for it to correspond with this NGL. So I'm going to name it 01 NGL. So this is about levels in Autodesk Revit. So now we've created these levels. We want to now go back to the floor plan and we want to start drafting walls. So let's go to this NGL now. So to go to it, as you can see, I just double clicked on it and you can see all these plans. So the first thing I usually do is I want to hide all these distractions. They are not actually, they are very important, but we could hide them because I don't want them to be obstructing the visuals in this view. To do that, I'm just going to select this. To select, you're just going to left click. Once you left click, you're going to hold it and just highlight the two, anything you want to select. So let's say I just left click and I just highlight this. I could just right click now. Once I right click, I'm going to see an array of options. So under this array of options, I'm going to see hide in view. So I could either hide in view by element or hide in view by category. So for now, I'm going to hide in view by elements because I don't want to hide in view by category because it might hide some things I don't want to hide as well. So I'm just going to click on it. So I'm going to do the same for this. I'm going to select this, highlight all of this, and I'm just going to hide in view by element. Okay, so now we want to start drafting walls. To draft walls, we are just going to go under this wall tab here, architecture. We're going to make sure we select architecture, then we're going to click on walls. So once we click on walls, we are going to see in this properties panel, you are going to see an array of options to work on. So firstly, we're going to select the wall we want to use. So currently we have this basic wall generic 200. If you click on this drop down icon, I could see some other default walls that Revit offers us. So we could select any of the walls, but for now, let's just use this simple wall that is generic 200mm. Okay, so now we've selected this generic 200mm. We're going to look at all the things in this interface here. So as you can see location line, which is wall center line. So this wall center line means if you are drawing the walls, it will be drawing from the middle of the wall as the reference point. So you are going to be drawing along the middle of the wall, and you are just going to be creating the wall, which you are going to see shortly. This is the base constraint. The base constraint means where the wall will start from. That is the NGL. Is going to start from the base constraint, which goes back to the levels we created. So this base constraint is the NGL. So as you can see, it said if I click on it, I can change it, but I'm going to leave it at NGL. So the top constraint currently, once the top constraint is now attached to a level, is going to show unconnected. So your job is to just click on it, click on this drop down icon, and click on roof level on this roof we just created. So you are going to see this top offset. So this top offset means if you have set this thing at roof level, you could make it taller if you want. You could just add, let's say, 900mm to it, and it will make the wall taller by 900. So let's draw some walls. Now to draw these walls, you are going to see some options here. These options are tools for sketching. You could see the box tool, you could see the hexagonal tool. Let's just use the box tool, click on it, and we're just going to draw a simple box. Okay, so as you can see now, you can see the box we have just selected. We have just drawn some walls. Okay, so now we could click on this wall and we could move it if we want. If I click on this wall and just drag it, I'll move it. I can click on this wall and drag it, I'll move it. I can click on this wall as well and just drag it, and I'm going to move it. I could click on this wall, drag it and move it. I could click here too, drag it and move it. If I click on it, I'll just drag it and move it. So now we have a simple wall box. Okay, so now we are done with the placement of walls. The next thing we're going to be talking about is the placement of floors. So floors are very simple to place in Revit. To create floors in Revit, you are just going to go to this architecture tab. You are going to go to floors. Okay, so under these floors, the same way you have under this properties panel, you could select the kind of floors you want. Let's say we just use maybe this floor here. Okay, now as you can see, you also have the level. You have to set the constraint of the floor. As I remember, I told you the definition of levels are vertical references for constraints. You get? So this level is now a constraint for this floor. So we're just going to click on this and use the box tool and just draw a floor here. So it's always good to note that once you draw floors in Revit, the thickness of the floor offsets below the level you set it at. Let's say we click on finish and we go to 3D. To go to 3D and see your model in 3D view, you just go under this tab here. You're going to see one house icon here, and you're just going to click it and the 3D is going to come out. So as you can see the walls, you could see the floors. So this is just the walls and floors in the 3D format in Revit. So you could also click on this box and rotate it. Once you click on this box, you can just rotate your 3D around and look at it in dynamic and wonderful views. Okay, so now as you can see what I said that when you create a floor, the thickness is going to offset down. So this floor is set at NGL. So if I rotate it and click on, let's say I click on this back here, you could see that this is the level I created. This is the NGL level, and you can see the thickness of the floor is offsetting down. So it's important to keep this in mind when you are doing multiple story building houses and you are setting the levels, that the floors will always offset down. Note it is just the rule of Revit. So we're going to go back to this NGL. Now we have created these floors. So now I want to create windows and doors. I want to place windows and doors on this. So typically if you are using AutoCAD, like the old AutoCAD, I think they have made some advancement, the later versions, but you will have to start, or if you are drafting in school, you have to start drafting using your pencil and drafting your windows and cutting and joining and all this kind of stuff. But Revit makes this much easier. To do that, let's just go to architecture. architecture. Under this architecture, we're going to go and see, we're going to see an option. We are going to see doors. So we're just going to click on these doors. So once you click on doors in Revit, you are just going to see this properties panel. If you click on this drop down icon, you're going to see options of doors that comes default with Revit. So you can select single swing doors, you could select double swing doors, anyone you want to select. So let's say we select this simple single swing door and we just place it. So as you can see, the thing is automatically attaching to the wall. So you can see if I just move around, I could choose where the door will swing to, and I could just hover around and I could just place this. Let's say I place this here. Okay, so now I've placed this door. As you can see, I'm just going to click on escape. So I could just select this door and I could decide to change the swing of the door, or I could decide to move it. So let's start by moving it. So if I select this, once I hover around it and I see this cross icon here, I could just move it and move it anywhere I want. Okay, let's move it back to the center side. Also, I'm going to see this two-way icon. This two-way icon is the opportunity or the tool for us to swing it. So if I click on this, I'm going to swing the door vertically. I'm going to change the swing of the door. If I click on this, I'm going to change the swing of the door horizontally. So it's always good to keep that in mind. So now I'm going to go back to architecture and I want to place windows. So in the same fashion as placing doors, I'm just going to click on windows here. So under these windows, I'm just going to click on this drop down icon to select the kind of window I want. Let's say I could select from this double casement window. Let me select a big one and I'm just going to select it. So now I'm just going to start placing. So as you can see, I've placed one here. Let's just place them. So I placed one here, placed one here, I placed another one here, I placed another one. So you can see why Revit is a BIM software, because it gives you the data for all these things you are placing, both in orthographic and in 3D format. So if I go back to this 3D view by clicking on this default 3D icon here, I'm going to see the doors and the windows. I'm going to see all the things I've done, which is very simple. That is why Revit is a wonderful software. And this is just tip of the iceberg of what Revit can do, because as I said, this is just a basic video. So also, if I click on these windows now, as you can see, these windows are now aligning with my door. They are higher than the door. So if, let's say, if I select these two now, to select multiple, click on one, hold control, click on another one. So as you can see the windows too have constraints. You can see they have a sail height. So I could just click on this edit type to edit the size of the windows. Under this tab, I'm going to see a lot of things, including the materials and finishes of the windows. And I'm going to see the height and the width. Let's say the width is 1.4 and the height is 1.8, and I reduce this height to 1.5. Then I'm going to click OK. So now I've changed the door height. You can see it has reduced. I could also select this window, select these two windows, and change the sail height to 600 millimeters. So as you can see, it has somewhat matched this door. So this is just how to create your walls and place your component. So finally, for this video, I'm going to be showing you how to create roof in Revit, like just the basic roof in Revit. So to do that, to go to create roof, let's just say we go to this roof level. So under this roof level, we could see the walls we've created. But do you know one thing? These walls are higher than the roof. Because of, if you remember, when we were creating these walls, we added a top offset of 900 millimeters. So these walls are above our roof. So if I select these walls, I click on one of these walls, I hold control, click on another wall, hold control, click on another wall, hold control, click on this final wall, and I just change this top offset to 0. You are going to see that the wall will disappear. And do you know why it has disappeared? I remember what I told you. I told you a floor plan is a horizontal section. So let's say you're cutting a horizontal section at this roof level at 1.2 meters. You're not going to see anything because the constraint is not allowing it to see what is below. But if you want to see what is below, there is something you can do. To solve this, you're just going to go under this underlay. So under this underlay, you're just going to click on this none. You're going to change this none to the NGL. So what this thing does is that this thing is going to show you what is below the level you are working at. So you can use this as a reference to create a lot of things. So to create roofs in Revit, I'm just going to go to architecture. I'm going to go to roof. So you could see this roof option here. There are many ways of creating roof, but for this video, I'm just going to be using the basic way, which is roof by footprint. So for this roof by footprint, is pretty simple. You're just going to use these modify tools to just draw a roof profile. So while drawing a roof profile, you should always consider some things. The first thing to consider is the roof eaves. The roof eave, a roof cannot just be attached to a wall directly, so you need to create eaves. So let's say I select this box tool now. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to be going to this offset here, and I'm going to be putting 600 millimeter because standard distance from roof eave is 600 millimeter. So I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to pick this point at this corner here. and pick this point at this corner here. So now once I've done this, you are going to see some lines, and these lines have triangles. What this triangle means is that these lines are having slopes because they have slopes to drain water. So we're just going to click on finish and we're going to see what it has done. So as you can see, it's kind of looking weird, and do you know why? Because this is a floor plan and it's a horizontal section, so it's cutting this at a horizontal level. So if you go back to the 3D view now, you are going to see the roof we have done, and you are going to see this is how to create a very simple building in Autodesk Revit. So I hope this video has covered the basics of using Autodesk Revit, how to create your walls, floors and roof. So I believe with this knowledge, if you are able to practice this, and if you are new to Revit, this should be enough for you to just give you a basic grasp of how to use Revit. So if you have learned this video, you could now go and further your knowledge in Revit via my full course videos I've done before. So I've covered full course videos on contemporary buildings and classical buildings. So if the video was helpful, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel for more content like this, because we release this on a weekly basis. Hit the notification bell to get notified when we release new videos, because we do that consistently. Don't forget to share with your friends, like this video, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Thank you.